Okay, next I want to talk to you about ventricles. So we already know that ventricles are cavities within the brain and they create cerebral spinal fluid. So very important. Um, so what we have here is an alien-like structure. This is a ventricle model. All right. Um, it is kind of hard to grasp. Even if you were in class actually holding it, a lot of students do struggle with this model. So, what we first need to identify or recognize is that all of this gray that you're seeing is actually hollow space. Okay. So this isn't here really in our brain. Okay. This you could think of all of this as fluid. All right. The cerebral spinal fluid. So we have two lateral ventricles, one fourth ventricle, and then a third ventricle. I don't know why I don't know. This is just how they, wow, I can't type on this. Okay. It's just not worth it. Okay, I'm going to stop. So what we have first off is this cavity here that I am outlining. Dun, da, da, da. This is all the lateral ventricle, okay? So you can envision the corpus callosum above it and the fornix below it, okay? Then we have this guy in the middle here, okay? This is ventricle 3, the third ventricle. All right. It's in between the lateral ventricles. All right. And then we have a structure that kind of goes like this down, right? Maybe that sounds familiar to you. A structure coming inferior, that is your cerebral aqueduct, okay? And it drops into the fourth, all right? So we know that the fourth ventricle is in between the cerebellum and the brainstem. So you can kind of envision that there, okay? So another view is the superior view, okay? So we have the lateral ventricle, two separate ventricles, all right? In between the two lateral ventricles, you have the third ventricle, and coming down the cerebral aqueduct and drops right into the fourth. Okay? Now, you cannot see the third ventricle from any model except for this model. All right? It is not on the sagittal model, it is not on the brainstem model. Okay? You can only see the third ventricle if you cut the brain right here ish. Very rough cut. But right there is where you would maybe more so like that. Regardless, right there, that's how you would be able to view that third ventricle. We don't have models, showing that cut. Okay, so please do not label the sagittal model with the third ventricle if we cut like right along here and opened all of this up, we see the third ventricle, okay? So really, this is the only location that you can see that third ventricle, all right? All right. Lateral ventricle, third ventricle in between them. Cerebral aqueduct comes down, and then you have the fourth ventricle, okay? All right.